What's going on, everyone? I'm Encore. This is Tomorrow Never Comes. And in this video, I want to share 4 reasons why it's beneficial to be an early stage crypto investor. Now, what do I mean by early stage crypto investor? If you're not familiar with the investing world, a lot of times what will happen is you will invest in individual coins or things that are listed on a centralized exchange, right? So if you're going to invest in Bitcoin and ETH, if you want to look at metaverse plays like Sandbox or Decentraland, all these things have already been listed in terms of Sandbox and Decentraland. So when there are particular projects, they come onto a public listing of which any one of us can then purchase their tokens. That's different. That's a later stage in the game. We want to be early when it's private, it's closed off, and the prices are much cheaper. And so price point is definitely one area of it. But, and then there's the other side of it where you're just getting into the currency aspect of it. So the Bitcoins, the ETH, XRP, things like that, where the volatility is quite apparent, especially now in this crypto market, right? So I just want to take you guys through really quickly 4 reasons why it pays to be in the early stage game and why I enjoy being in an early stage investor. All right, so let's just jump real quick into this. So, all right. So first things first, and you guys can kind of skip ahead to see all 4 of them, but I want to explain them in detail here. So one is avoiding volatility. Now we've seen, especially in this market now, over the last 6 to 9 months, how things have really tapered off. At some points, there are dramatic shifts in the price point downwards, and sometimes it's more of a gradual grind. And it could work the other way around. When we were in the bull run, we saw massive gains, and then even the last couple of days, you would see Bitcoin and especially ETH, jump up a good 10-20% pretty quickly. So while it's exciting when you're first in the space, you kind of look at that, especially obviously when things are trending in your favor. It weighs on you, and when you're in this one, and this just doesn't go for a crypto market, any market, right? But crypto markets, especially because it is 24/7, 365 days of the year. There is no market close. There's no time when people pack up and go home. It is constant. And so you can very easily, like I did, and like most people do, is you fall into the trap of where you just watch the price point day in, day out. Not even just once a day, multiple times a day, maybe on the hour, maybe more, depending on what the market's doing. So it really weighs on you. It can be fun, but then it starts to become draining. When you get into early stage crypto projects, that doesn't exist, right? You're in it for a certain price point, and it remains that price point until that project lists publicly. So, for anyone who's familiar with regular investing in terms of, non-crypto related projects, similar process, right? If something doesn't go public, you get in at a share price that's a certain price, and it remains that price until they list publicly, and then you can kind of capitalize on it. Okay, so there's obviously more involved, like vesting and cliffs and all that. I'm not going to get into that. The main thing here is that crypto markets are volatile, and they are 24/7, 365 days of the year. Getting in an early stage, it eliminates that for you. You get a set price, you get into quality projects, and kind of deciphering which ones are quality or which ones have a better chance of being a quality project. That's a different story. But once you're in these projects, you're in them, and then you kind of have to see it out and see what happens with it. So you avoid that volatility, especially the day-to-day, minute-to-minute volatility. So it's more peaceful from that aspect. So second point is exponential gains. I mean, it doesn't matter. Even when I say, I'm investing for X, Y, and Z, and I don't talk about returns, that's implied. Nobody invests in anything, or very rarely do we invest in something not expecting to get some sort of return on that investment. Of course, right? That's just how it is. That's why many of us get into crypto in the first place before we start to learn the fundamentals, or in the stock market. Well, everyone's trying to, make money, right? That's what you're trying to do. Here, it's very different. only because, well, I won't say it's different. What I will say is that you have the ability, because you're getting in early in some of these projects. If they're selling, if you're doing a token raise, and that's a whole different ballgame. Are you doing an equity raise or a token raise? Basically, are you getting a piece of the company, or are you getting a piece of the token supply? That's really what it comes down to. And if we're doing a token supply, you might get in at, like I've seen some projects that are 0.001 cent. Okay, so very, very cheap. And then as the rounds increase or get where you go later on through the journey, that price point increases. Eventually, when it launches to the public, that 0.0001 that you picked, that you paid for, now might be 0.01 for the public. Okay, so you get that ability to see exponential gains even as soon as it hits to the public. Okay, because the listed price point, I think about like an IPO. For the most part, those who got in early on the Facebooks, on the Amazons, they were paying dirt cheap prices compared to what it was listed publicly and what it trades at now, right? So they made thousands of percentage of gains. So same thing here. You get in early, you have that ability to get ridiculous gains going forward. Okay. Now, obviously, here's what I do want to say though, is that the way the markets work is that when things are uptrending, people want to go public faster. And that's still no different than, the IPO stage. When the market is hot, it makes sense to go out because you got more people who are going to want to buy your shares in that particular example, or here are your tokens. And when the market's down, they push the launch date back. So there is that part of it. All right, I just want you to keep that in mind. So number 3 is the experience, and these are the intangibles, right? What did you learn going through this process? Because I'll tell you this. Yes, there's the X's and O's of actually investing, but then it comes down to, well, how do you access the deal, right? How do you even get connected into that network? Okay, so now you're in there. How do you have that conversation? How do you have follow-up conversations? How do you say no to people and still maintain the relationship so that you can get a deal further along the journey that kind of makes sense to you, or at a better time for you in terms of investing? So there's the actual part of investing where you dive in and you just kind of ride it out. But there's the whole courting period. There's the whole process of learning, what does it even make sense to invest, how much, all these different things. And then even beyond that, you start to look at different aspects of the economy, of finance, things that you never did because now you are invested emotionally, not just with your capital. So the experience itself is amazing, and it gives you confidence in going into the next deal or the next deal. And I'll even tell you this. Let's say you invest in something and another project comes along and you don't want to invest in it, or it doesn't work for you. Because you've had experience investing in other projects, you've probably created some sort of network. So now you can be the connector. You're like, hey, this isn't for me, but let me lob this to people that I know. Maybe it works for them. Maybe someone who really gravitates toward that metaverse play, the NFT play, so the DeFi play, whatever the play is. You now have a network. And so the experience part of it is a massive reason why early stage investing is such a great place to be. And that leads into the next thing, which is the community. You build your network, but all of these early stage investors and all the pieces that are affiliated with early stage investing, whether it be the events, the people involved, in terms of the investors, but also the startups, the founders. These founders, they'll do something and it'll either work and they'll exit and then start something else, or it doesn't work and the team kind of breaks off and starts doing their own thing. But they're all part of the same community. And so when they know you're a part of that community, it just, that's still part of your network. But I want to go even beyond that. There's a piece of this that it's so difficult to explain. If anyone who is 35 and up, especially if you're 40 and up, you're probably, come up in your industry, your job, some sort of training, some sort of schooling, where the vast majority of what we did was I need to get mine, and it's very competitive to other people. You still help people, but at the end of the day, the way old school things used to work was everyone was kind of out for themselves. Some were a little bit more nasty, and some were helpful, but at the end of the day, you still wanted to see yourself excel over others. Here in the crypto space, I mean, I got to tell you, the community is the best thing in there. Everyone is trying to help everybody else, even though you may have competitors in the same space who are doing startup projects. They still want to see the entire community, the entire crypto community do well. And so just being an early stage investor is such a great thing, because you literally could be the reason why a certain project lifts off. And in doing so, it actually changes the entire game. Now, in the equity markets, stock market, whatnot, you could do that. But the rate, the innovation, unless you're doing like genomics or some, biosciences, things of that nature, the paradigm shift in what you're doing is not really there. Here, the space is maturing. So being a part of the community, being that early stage investor where you can help these projects, not only just for themselves and the community around that particular project, but the underlying technology for the entire space could shift based on one particular project. And you could be at the forefront of that. So all of these things, when you wrap them up, I mean, if you were to tell me a year ago, these were the things that you had to know to do it, not these 4 things, but this is the learning curve, I don't think I would have even wanted to do it. I actually never wanted to be an early stage investor, to be honest with you. I just wanted to learn the space, invest individually, and we're good to go. But now this is what speaks to me. I can support projects, quality team members. I can immerse myself in the community. I don't have to worry about 24/7 volatility. And when things work out, there are exponential gains to be had. Okay, so all this just wraps up into an amazing experience and being part of an amazing community. So I wanted to share those 4 reasons why it's a great thing to be an early stage investor. I would implore all of you, somehow, some way, get connected to the point where you can invest as an early stage crypto investor. And I'll share some videos of how you can actually go about doing that. You don't need to be part of an institution to do that. There are ways that people can understand that you are an investor or know about you as an investor and how you kind of build that up. So I'll share that in videos to come. But I wanted to get this here because it's so important, especially in these types of markets where everyone's doom and gloom. There's still a lot of enthusiasm. This is the time where projects are building. The bear markets are the times when the next bull market champions are made. So right now, we don't know who's going to be the next bull champion, but they're being made today. All right. So listen, if you guys like the content, if you want to learn more about early stage investing, please like, subscribe, share this video, and hit the notification bell. And just remember, tomorrow never comes. Take action, invest in yourself today, and I'll see you guys in the next video.